Trial run J, baby. Trial run J.
We are live, my man.
Hear me out.
Yo, here we
Mm-hmm.
go. Think I messed it up already. I don't think we're starting off the rails. But hey, we are here for another edition. The screen's not messed up. It's me, Jay on the MIC, man, from Rec Room Sports, with another edition of Hear Me Out. And yes, we gave the Chiefs fan, the night off. Right? Right? And what was saying?
He's gonna need
Man,
it after
Sabbatical.
tomorrow. So
yeah, man, I can imagine what Tanner's gonna be getting into tomorrow. So, man,
Whew.
shout out to Tanner, man. Once again, I'm your boy Jay. I got over here to my right, Mr. Witt from Rec Room Sports. And then I have over
Yo.
to my left, we got my man, the vampire himself,
man,
Alan. We got Alan, man, from the Let's Talk Sports family, man. We're gonna
Team
sit
no
here,
sleep.
man. There we go.
oh, I got sleep today. I got sleep today.
All
I had to.
right,
I didn't
so
have a choice. Hold
I
on, hold
got you.
on. I just gotta.
Uh,
Oh, he got it.
There we go. Now I feel good.
all
Right.
right. So we're gonna start with a negative point for Allen. There we go. All right, but nah, man, we here, man. Hear me out, which is a great debate show, man, where we judge based off the points given, and we give points based on the great points made, and what I think is going to be a nice debate here.
Hey
Once
Jay, man,
again,
I meant to tell you, I love that shirt. I just noticed that, man. I love that shirt.
this right here, this is a Picasso Classic Edition, man. Rec Room Sports, man. Thanks for the plug, man. My Rec Room Sports T-shirt, man. We'll get more into that at halftime, right? At halftime. So
Right.
we gonna get down to the nitty gritty, right? Right. So
Right.
this is how we do it, man. This is how I'm gonna do my best Tanner impression. I already messed up, but we're gonna start. We're gonna, we're gonna go to the new round. When we go to the new round, give you a plus point when you made your good point. You hear me? All right. So, and
Yep.
then
Yep.
when, of
Yeah.
course, you already heard it, is when you say something that I don't agree with. Now, you know, I'm pretty tough. Wit, you're gonna have to bring it, man. You're gonna have to bring it tonight because
Here we go.
I'm gonna be fresh on it, man. I'm gonna be fresh on it, man. I'm beginning. So, all right, here we go, man. All right, and then we're gonna have a final topic, and then that's gonna be worth 5 points. You might need it. It might be blown out the water. We don't know, right? So we're gonna start with the debate, and then we're gonna hit that final topic, and that's to let you know we got to get into the final topic. So we're gonna have a wide range of things going on, man. I mean, as far as we got the week one in NFL, you know what I mean? We got the big UFC fight. I would say, Wit, that's my UFC guy. He's more in the UFC than I am, but we got a lot going on, man. This week, going on to this weekend, man. We got week one of the NFL, man.
Finally.
About
Right,
time. It's about
right.
time.
I'm telling you, man. So we're gonna get into these topics, man. We're gonna get more into the week one, man, and can't wait to watch the Cowboys lose and so forth. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, right? All right, we got a new round, and then our first topic here. So, what we have here, everybody's talking about it, right? The Buffs, man, prime time. I'm not gonna get all into. I just want to let y'all make y'all points, but come on, man, that was a great showing against a TCU team who was runner up, national runner up last season. So a lot of people didn't expect much. We went into this game. We had some big time players. Yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Show up. You know what I'm saying? And they're here. They're not coming anymore. Are they here? So my question here is the Buffs. Is it too early to call them Pac-12 contenders? Are they contenders or pretenders? Do you think they're gonna get win?
Uh-oh.
Uh, well, I think I know where we're going with this one. You know, do we think that the Pac-12 is going to be won by Colorado? From looking at their first performance, I know we're still running live, so we might as well just go ahead. I think Jay's going to somehow jump back in. You know, Alan, you the guest right here today. So while we still live, and hopefully when Jay comes back, we'll already have a little bit of something. Let's give him 2 more seconds because he's gonna have to score it. This is gonna be a free round. This could be a free round. Shoot, I don't, I'm with that. We just flying off the handle with this one. Okay, so like we were saying, Colorado, great showing over the weekend.
hmm
It just happened. Do we think that they are going to be Pac-12 contenders?
The jury's still kind of out on that. I know that, again, they did have a really good showing. Watched that entire game. You know, it just looked like the speed that on Colorado was so much different compared to what TCU had. But still, it was a great game back and forth. You know, one of the best, probably the best game of the weekend. A lot of people, don't know this. Obviously, Colorado had a lot of turnover in this offseason, with Coach Prime coming in, basically saying, 73% of y'all are probably not going to be on the roster. And, they had the most turnover by a lot on in college football as far as transfers, as far as kids coming in. They had so many coming up, but people don't realize TCU had the second most. TCU had the second most as far as
Right.
transfers and young talent coming in, and it still was a competitive game head to head. As far as being contenders in the Pac-12, I mean, you can say that they might be in that discussion still, but we're still a couple ways out from them actually playing a Pac-12 game. They do their first Pac-12 game will be in Eugene against Oregon, who is a really, really tough opponent. So that'll be a perfect test to see if they are legit or not. I'm not quite sold on them. I mean, Dion has just changed the culture there in Colorado tremendously. Um, I'm not quite sold just yet. I do think that they can potentially be a contender, but you still got to go through, as I said, Oregon on the road. You have USC coming into Boulder the week after. You still have to deal with Washington, who's a top 10 team. You still have to deal with UCLA, who can move the ball up and down the field. There's a lot of good teams in the Pac-12 this year. I mean, they all started 1-0. This is a really, and when I didn't even say Utah probably looked the most impressive to me this past weekend, us outside of Colorado, because of how they were able to shut down Florida in that game. So it's going to be tough. They'll definitely finish. To me, I think they'll definitely finish at the top half of the Pac-12. Is just that gauntlet that they're going to have to go through. You look, Oregon, USC, UCLA, Utah. That gauntlet's going to be tough. We'll see. We'll know right away after the game on the road in Eugene against Oregon. If they go in there and they beat Oregon, then yes, they are a contender for the Pac-12. But if it's a close loss, or if there's some things that get miscued, maybe they'll finish again. Like I said, top half of the Pac-12. I definitely think they're better than a majority of those teams. But yeah, there's still going to be stiff competition within the Pac-12 this season. It's not like they beat. Oh yeah, they beat the national runner-up, but then again, you look at what happened in that national championship game. They got stonewalled 63-7. So it was terrible. It was terrible. So yeah, it's going to be tough competition going in, but it was definitely an impressive first week for Colorado. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay, well, my bad, yeah, fellas. I went through the, sorry about that. So it might be Hopefully, this is not an asterisk later on in the competition. But you're right, man. You're right. You know what I'm saying? Like it's with the schedule going on and everything that I caught Alan saying. It's only time will tell. And we're gonna know early, and then we're gonna know more moving in, further on into the season. So I'm gonna let Wit go ahead and take it from there.
All right, man. So this is the real deal. So first of all, let me just say this. This was one of those games where you had to have all your eyes on. You had to look at more than what was available for you to see, because of course the play being made by, let's say, first of all, Shador Sanders, 38 to 47, uh, like 510 yards. That's ridiculous. 4 touchdowns, and 75. His 75 yarder was his bomb was the longest. We got, what I'm saying, another Heisman Trophy candidate, right? Travis Hunter playing two sides of the ball, which has been unseen for years right now. With 11 receptions, 119 yards, and one heck of an interception on the goal line, where he pretty much ended like a really major TCU drive, which I think pretty much turned the tide of the game. And then somebody we weren't really looking for was like Dylan Edwards with 6 carries for 24 yards, but 5 receptions for 135 yards and 3 touchdowns. That was a big deal. But something that I think really played a huge part into this was how the rest of the team looked for Colorado on that run, on that like 3 yard run that Dylan Edwards did. The blocking, the man to man blocking with the wide receivers and the fullback on the safety. That told me a whole different thing in itself, because that shows you that Dion and his coaching staff, who was set up to basically be like an NFL coaching staff, that they are going for the basics. It is not nothing fast, not nothing flashy. It's really what really took place in this. Now, for me, after you look at the game and you eyeball it and you say that they did great, I got to look at a few things, man. First of all, TCU still got 541 yards of offense. Okay, that's a lot. Okay, that. Let's not take that away from TCU. They still got 541 yards. Okay, so now when you think about the Big 12, I mean the Pac 12, like what's going to happen? Who are they going to play? You already mentioned Oregon on the 23rd. They got USC on the 30th, right? They got Utah on November 25th. Who does USC have, and who does Washington State have? Two more Heisman candidate quarterbacks that they're going to have to go to for sure. Utah already put on a show going up against Florida. We saw what that looks like, and that was their second string quarterback. Okay, now we got to go play Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams already has 9 touchdowns. He looked like Houdini on the field. It looks crazy. Washington with Michael Penix. Shout out to him. He's another Heisman candidate quarterback, and Washington has suspectedly has the best wide receiver group. We have yet to see that, but that's a for now yet to be seen. So that's two more Heisman candidates that they're going to have to go see before we determine anything. Now, I love Dion. I love what's already been done with the team. Now, are we going to say that they're going to be champs of their conference? No, not yet. I want to see what they do against Nebraska. To be real, I want to see what happens for a week. Are we going to have a little bit? Are they going to be riding high over this TCU win and then come in and get spanked and then have to build it back up, or are they going to start on an upward trend from week one up until we see some major conference competition? In my opinion, now this is where we have to separate the men from the boys, because one thing is for sure and two things are for certain. Prime is going to have them ready. He's definitely going to have them ready to go. It's not no questions about it. He's going to have them prepared to play. But the idea is the competition level is going to begin to get just a little deeper. Like I mentioned before, their defense let 541 yards happen. Yes, they got some crucial interceptions. Yes, they did touch the quarterback a little bit, but you can't let that ball go up and down the field when you playing a UCLA or USC or Washington State, Oregon. What? Come on now. You cannot let that happen. So to me, the proof will be in the putting the cream of the rise to the top. Maybe not week one. Maybe not week one. I love Coach Prime. I love what they did. Y'all, if y'all seen anything about the show, y'all know how I feel. But right now, I'm saying let's give it to week 3 before we make them crown them champs. And even if they come in second, look at what they had. What happened? 1-11. Come on now. If they win 3 games, I'll be excited. But of course, they're gonna win more than 3. But nonetheless, I don't think we should crown them yet. We got to wait for a little bit more of competition to happen, and before we do that.
Mhm.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. So, all right. So my whole thing is, just just having a team that you can't get any more than uh, what they was only picked. I think the best that a team has ever done, with a record like they've had like 4 games, and he was whooping about it. Prime time was saying 4 games, like 4 games, like nah, I'm not here to win 4 games. So to say that they're going to turn it around the way that they plan to, it will never be done before. It'll be the first time ever. And for him to, go through the total overhaul, I mean, that he went through to make them what they so far what we're seeing, and it's crazy how think about how many times you've heard Colorado mentioned from game, one game, just 1 game. So it's crazy. That was a pretty, pretty much open, I guess, opening topic because, like I said, man, I agree, it is a bit too early to call Colorado Pac-12 contenders because when I could name other teams, but when them Trojans is flying around the field and they trying to find an open man, I want to see what it looks like. Then I'm very, very, very. I'm just I want to see what's going. I'm very curious. I want to
Mhm.
see what's going to happen. But I'm not gonna give the point. Alan, you want to say something? Going into the next one.
I will say this. Colorado had 3 starters return from last year's squad. 3. That is all that came back from last year's squad. Dion basically gutted that entire roster and brought in a whole new slew of guys. And be honest, those 3 guys actually balled out too. They're buying in. That's what Dion has done. Whether it was at Jackson State, whether it's here in Boulder, he has got this team to buy into what he's selling. And
Right.
that is the most important thing you can do for a roster, for a group of young kids like this. Get them to buy into what you're preaching, get them to buy into what you're teaching. And we saw it this past Saturday. It proved dividends. Colorado came out there, they took it to TCU. Yeah, granted, Witt's right. They led up 500 plus offensive yards, and when you're going up against high-powered offenses like Washington and USC, that's going to be a problem. But he's going to figure something out. And he's going to figure. I'll tell you right now, if Dion's watching, you know how you beat Lincoln Riley? Rush 3, drop 8. That's how you beat Lincoln Riley. That's been the formula for to beat a Lincoln Riley offense for years now. I've seen it so many times in Norman, and it's crazy. So you want to beat Lincoln Riley and USC? Rush 3, drop 8. That's how you beat them.
I got you. I got you. So yeah, that's another thing, man. Like the scary part to me is you're holding your own, but when the Horned Frogs offense come on the field, it's like bam, bam, bam. It's like these are big plays, and it's like ooh, it's like they gashing, and it's like I wouldn't quite call them an elite defense, you know what I mean, or anything like that. So it's like you say, man, just giving up that many yards on both sides of the ball, both teams was pretty much, you know, um, it was a good game, that's for sure. But
Right.
we're gonna move on to the next one. All right, we're gonna go to the next round, and then okay, let me get it together now, because y'all know I'm the rookie here. So
Just take your time, bro. Take your time.
yeah, I got you. All right, so we're going into FIBA. They just had a pretty good victory, easy victory, what I would say, um, against was it Italy? Y'all get me straight.
Italy.
All right.
Uh-huh.
After losing the Lithuania. But with them losing to Lithuania, and now it being like do or die, pretty much. uh, are the expectations basically of a gold medal, too high for this year's USA team? We're gonna let Allen go first. I let Wick went after that. We're gonna switch it up, man. It's on you, Wick.
All right. So for me, right, in my opinion, this is one of those things where you got to look at what's going on with the roster. Okay, you got Ant Man. Okay, we want Ant Man to be the starter. He is. He's showing up. We got Ingram, Bi showing up. We got Jackson Jr. showing up. But are they producing like we would hope to? Kind of not sort of. Who's showing up and producing? Reeves from the Lakers? Yes. It's one of those situations where you thinking somebody is gonna go, oh man, go off. This is one of the time. Paulo Blancaro, oh man, this is his time. No, the underlying players from these other teams, and not even from the low level teams, from the mid level teams, you know what I'm saying, are showing up right now. In my opinion, I think that they have the ability to win the gold medal. I do think so. But is it a possibility that they can take one of these L's in the later rounds where it's going to be one and done? I really do. You got to think about who we are missing as Americans right now on the FIBA team. We don't got Jason Tatum. We don't got Jalen Brown. We don't got Zion Williamson. We don't got John Morant. But the players that we do have are so much of a hodgepodge group that the continuity isn't there still yet. Now, do they know how to bounce back from a loss? Of course they do. Lithuania really put it on America in a rebounding aspect in which that shouldn't happen. You got Jared Jackson Jr. down there, got Paolo Blancaro, we got two or three of the best rebounding guards in the NBA on the squad as well, coming off of the bench and starting. So somehow, some way, and including Brandon Ingram, who they do have switched out between the 3 and the 4, somehow, some way, we should not have lost the battle in the trenches or on the blocks. But Lithuania does have two players that have been in the NBA and one that's a prospect to be drafted next year. So it's not as though we played some bums. But going into that next game, we saw exactly what Coach Kerr likes to instill in his teams. Hey, these guys ain't playing. You think that the competition level is low. Actually, it's high. And we saw them wax Italy. Now, the idea is, can they take that same energy throughout the competition? We haven't seen them play Canada. We haven't seen them play Luka and them boys. We haven't seen them play a really strong Australia team with Josh Giddey. We haven't seen that. But this is what's coming up in the next few rounds going on as we speak. They have to get that little bit of continuity where the players that you, me, Allen are thinking are going to show up and show out and kind of give other players who we're not gonna call them scrubs. They definitely not scrubs. They made the team. They are worth it. But the point is, will they show up to the point where these guys are second tier, and then we got a definite first tier with Brandon Ingram and Anthony Edwards, or are we gonna have to have a cohesive unit to try to win? Because to me, when the stars shine in the NBA, the stars shine, and we know exactly who they are. But as of right now, it's kind of going, well, you get the ball. No, you get it. No, you get it. No, you pass it to him. And it's okay. That's all right. That type of ball is working in FIBA because the rules are different, because the contacting and the foul is different as well. So in which, when we want to pass the ball and move the ball around, that's great. The next thing that we have to do is make sure that we know in the long run, these players who are basically high level second team all NBA guys have to show up for us in order to win that gold medal. So I think it's possible, but we haven't seen the highest part of what is the competition for FIBA basketball yet.
All right, all right. Alan, it's on you.
Well, me personally, I feel like they're not too high because every year, I'm not much of a basketball fan if I'm being honest, but every time I'm hearing anything about world tournaments, whatever, the main talk is always it's USA and the field. That's basically that's the way it's been for a long time. And so, yes, there's going to be those expectations no matter who Team USA throws out there. there's going to be those expectations where we're expected to be, the dominant force that it is. The problem with that is that over the course of the last decade or so, European basketball in and in itself has gotten so much better. You're seeing more out of state guys who are having success, not just out in the rest of the world, but they're now coming into the NBA and having success. I mean, we had Jokic win a championship last year. Luka Doncic coming over and being a superstar for Dallas. You have, Giannis in Milwaukee coming over and winning an NBA title. So the NBA in and itself has been kind of, become a world league, not just a league where it's all the best American players in the world. It's a world league now, and that's really why the competition has gotten so much better as far as going up against we were talking about Lithuania. You were talking about Lithuania earlier in that loss. That's why the competition's why they've gotten better, is because they've gotten more time out of the league. That's why you're seeing some of our guys starting to go to European leagues and playing basketball, because there's competition out there as well. So, I mean, and it's great. It's great for the sport when you have competition from countries outside of the United States, because it makes everybody better. And I think Team USA looked at this. They looked at that loss and was like, okay, now we've got to actually turn it up if we actually want to go out there and show that we can go out there, dominate, and win a gold medal. So I think this is I think it was the catalyst they definitely needed to kind of get themselves in the right mindset and getting back to, as Whit mentioned, what Steve Kerr wants to do as far as running this team. And, again, yes, they haven't played France yet. They haven't played Australia yet. Those are going to be tough games. I mean, I've seen Josh Giddey play every day, when he's here in Oklahoma City. So I know how tough he can be. And, Chet needs to step up a little bit, I think. But that's just me personally. But, again, again, these guys need to go out there. They need to prove that why they are such a cohesive unit together. So, I expect them to be in the game, because history shows that Team USA can get it done, even under the pressure that they've been in. So me personally, I expect them to be in that game. But again, I'm kind of also with Whit. I would not be surprised if they did get knocked out, but I'm more on the lines of I expect them to be there in the end.
All right, and and that's the crazy thing. It's just I really feel that the NBA took a different approach as far as their stars, because it was starting to become a issue that was mentioned every season. Like, this is a lot of basketball to be, especially for somebody just winning a championship. Imagine if you just winning a championship. You're going into training camp, going into basically training camp for the USA squad, and then you're going into the whole FIBA deal. Look what it is. It's September. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be getting ready for the NBA season, and another training camp for NBA is about to start. If you know what I'm saying. So, it looks like the NBA took a business approach but as far as competition, it didn't help us out. We're back to the redeem team, not the redeem team, but previous to the redeem team type years, where these were great players, but all our great players are pretty much on the men. You know what I mean? And they took their teams as far as they could. They took their bodies as far as they could. So I definitely agree. With both of y'all as far as expectations, but at the same time, you know, you know, uh, that's what they put Coach K out there for. To have the cohesiveness and play as a team and But don't you ever mention Coach K again with negative point. You know what
I
I'm
said Coach
saying?
K. I said
But
Coach
nah,
Kerr.
I'm just. Not, oh, I thought you said Coach K. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
Coach Kerr. Coach
I'm sorry. I'm
Kerr.
sorry. My fault. My fault. My fault. My fault. I'm sorry. I wasn't taking a point away, man. I honestly wasn't going to take a point away. I was just
But look,
playing.
what I was going to throw in there. Alan's got great points to one of these things, and you said something that I didn't get a chance to mention. It's like a lot. This is one year that so many players are on the mend. Murray's not playing for Canada. Jokic haven't won the championship. He's not playing for Serbia, Montenegro. Giannis isn't playing for Greece. You know what I mean? But European countries are coming into their own. But right now, everybody has the number one team slated as our neighbors up north from the six, and that's Canada. America's like number two.
Right, right. And it's just gonna be amazing. And just like, Alan said, man, we're looking at the best players in the NBA actually being international players. It's not, of course we have great players from the States, but we have
I always keep forgetting that Shea's in Team Canada and not Team USA. So
right, right.
Yeah, right.
So that's,
Mhm.
things like that, man. They definitely, Canada, we're gonna see how this tournament pretty much pans out, man, because still a lot more basketball to be played. So we're gonna see what's going on. But right now, man, we're gonna take a little break. This is sort of like our halftime, right? We're gonna take a
Yeah.
little time out. All right, so I'm gonna use this time out to man, we going into week one of the NFL season. We going into pretty much second week of college football where it's like, okay, it might be tough, a little tougher competition for some teams, and then of course, then some teams got some cupcakes set up, right? So, do y'all ever want to agree to say that we should have like uh almost like, to this make sense? I'm making a term here. Conferenceless play, and just put the top some odd teams and pretty much sort of like a round robin. All the best teams. You take say 50 teams and put them pretty much in a like a round robin type just randomize the schedule with every team in the top 50, right? And get as many matchups as you can, and then throw in some cupcakes as well, right? First, first to give the teams from the bottom 50 a chance, right? But like, why can't we just construct something where it's just we're not worrying about conferences anymore? When we're just letting teams just go out there and just go at it. Do y'all think that will ever be a thing in college football? And this is not even a part but it's just something to think about. Now it's just weird, man, because I'm tired of seeing these cupcake games, and that's basically these cupcake games should not be going on with so much competition. You got like almost 100 players. You got like 100 of the best players that you can find, and you mean to tell me that you're only willing to put 20 something of them in harm's way, 30 something of them in harm's way? You know what I mean? Like, what's the reason that you going out there and recruiting? All these best players to only use 30 of them. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Use them all. If you're a good recruiter, and from your 5-star all the way down to your 3-star, 2-star, like, why don't you put everybody to work? And that's the way. Like, you get somebody hurt. Like, I hate to say it like that. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like some college football is just seeming weird, man. I don't know. That's just my thing. Sorry, y'all. Going on a
Well,
tangent about college football.
with everything going on with realignment, I think that's where the NCAA wants to head. They want to try to get rid of some of these lesser competition type games. Um, Obviously, the reason why keeps happening is obviously these small schools need money to finance some of their programs, which is why some of the bigger schools are willing to give the check out, write the check out, let these teams come over, get squashed by like 77. Sorry, Missouri State, but or Arkansas State, I should say, but yeah, I mean, you want to see the better teams. You want to see Georgia playing better teams than UT Martin every week. You want to see the they were supposed to play us. They were supposed to play us this season, but because of us moving into the SEC, them and the SEC were like, yeah, we don't want to play this game this year because they're moving in to the conference next year. Here's the thing. We're not even playing Georgia next year. They didn't even schedule it next year. They're playing Texas. So They're gonna go play. They're gonna go play little brother while Alabama comes over here and gets squashed. So, it, that's the whole thing, especially with the SEC. The SEC, I don't know why they do this is where you see the biggest problem of it, because you see more cupcake games being scheduled in the SEC than pretty much anywhere else. Because some of these other teams are willing to go play these other teams. I mean, we're going to get Notre Dame, Ohio State in a couple weeks. That's going to be one of the better games on the schedule. I mean, and this week we're getting, I believe it's Oregon, and I want to say Texas Tech, Texas Tech, which should be a pretty fun matchup. I know Tech got beat by Wyoming last week, but that should still be a pretty fun matchup. And that's what makes it so entertaining, is seeing these out of conference matchups that you don't really get to see nowadays, which is why it's kind of disheartening seeing USC and UCLA go to the Big Ten, which means we're going to see this all the time now. This is, Colorado going back to the Big 12, Oklahoma and Texas going to the SEC, and none of it makes sense. Geographically, none of it makes sense. How is Stanford and Cal going to the ACC make any sense where they're on the Pacific Coast? It don't make any sense at all.
Road trip.
and
why would you have kids go from UCLA all the way to Rutgers to play a Big Ten conference game? That's the big problem with this realignment is the travel. The travel's going to be expensive as hell.
Actually, I got one. I watch a lot of PTI, and Michael Wilbon is one of my favorite writers to actually read and listen to talk. One of the things that they brought up on several occasions was that football conferences should be separate from the other non-denominational sports, non-money getting sports, and they should do it in a sense of saying geographically aligned, like Jay is considering. But what I would think of it is as more of like how the Premier League in England is set up, where they get those round robin competitions, and then those kind of trickle down into what eventually turns into their championships league. You know what I mean? I like that idea for sure. But one of the main things is, the sports that don't get money, like your field hockeys and your water polos and, lacrosse. I'm not going to, lacrosse is pretty popular. So but I'm saying the point is those sports that don't make as much money or aren't as well funded as football are the ones that get like hurt in the process when students got to travel cross country, like you said, UCLA to Rutgers. You know what I'm saying? The guys at Texas are going to be, of course, heading towards the East Coast multiple times this year. I mean, well, next coming year. So it's going to be a huge. It's going to be a huge factor in. Okay, they still got to be students, right? Because student athlete is in the word, and
Right.
B, they still got to be people. They still got to be young people. So how is rest and somewhat of fatigue going to play into it? And that's where what I think Jay's talking about is going to come. Like all that stuff that Jay mentioned towards the end of his rant, right there is going to come into play. Like you got 56 guys out the transfer portal. You got 9, 10, 12 incoming freshmen. Like let those guys play. And the only way that they're going to start playing is if, okay, look, we had my first string. They just played a game the other night. They just went across country. I need my second and my third string to be ready because we're gonna throw you in there when we play Midwest Tennessee State in our third West champ in the third week or something like that.
Right.
So I agree with you, Jay. I would much rather see it happen in a sense of saying, like Tony Kornheiser said, really, and said basically, hey, let's have football have their own alignment as far as just for football, and then kind of group it so that there's not so much of the faulty games. Even though they weren't cupcakes, we didn't know what was going to happen with Duke and Clemson the other night. We had no idea that was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Utah and Florida, we had no idea. Utah and Florida, we had no idea that was going to happen. But
I know at least 5 people that were upset that Utah won that game.
Yeah, hey, listen, we had no idea it was going to be. We thought it was going to be a closer competition, But that is also the beauty of college football. There's a team that you are not playing every week or that you haven't seen in 2 3 years that might be ranked lower than you that will come and put foot in your behind. And prime example once again, Colorado and their turnover playing TCU. But yeah, man, shout out to the halftime. Thanks, Alan, for being here. Join us the homies from the rec room on Hear Me Out. Great halftime rant, Jay. Great halftime.
I will say this: the best example of that was Appalachian State going to Michigan in
Oh
2005.
yeah, that's all time. That's
That
all time.
that's a perfect example. It's like, oh, we're just going to pay this small little nothing school, and they're just going to come in and get beat. Appalachian State went in there and they whooped up on Michigan, and it was so much fun to watch. And they did it again last year to Texas A&M. So that's
Hmm.
another big win for them.
Word on the street is they're going to paint their athletic directors building the roof with that scene from Michigan when they ran the kickback. Like the Sistine Chapel. I heard that. Well, but
And
I don't
that's
know if that's true or not. But I did hear that they were actually going to paint that. Like on the roof in their AD's building and stuff.
Yeah, that whole season forced Lloyd Carr to finally retire. So it was, they fell apart badly. Michigan
For
did in
sure.
that season.
all
Hmm.
right, y'all. So that was, that was a little halftime, man, and just wanted to kind of loosen it up because right now we have Allen up by two, 11-9. Y'all both made great points. It's just that I was, listening to some points and wish I would have heard everything. But from what I've gathered, from what I was listening to when I was able to be seen, I was like, oh, that's a point. But I was too busy trying to get back on the screen. So, um, glad that I kind of try to make it work a little bit. But we're gonna move into the next subject here. And this is gonna be a little bit of a different swing here. We're gonna talk about the NBA here. Um, we just basically witnessed not too long ago. Your basically your NBA Hall of Fame, 2023. You know what I'm saying? We had D Wade, we had Dirk, Vince Carter,
Oh,
Yo.
oh, we had Becky Hammond, to name a few. Um, but we have uh I'm gonna let y'all kind of go. I don't know if y'all been doing your homework on this one, but I'm not gonna throw any names out there. I just want to know 2024. Who would you want to see most? Who you would think would be most deserving of a Hall of Fame nod, getting into the Hall of Fame, the NBA Hall of Fame next season?
well, I mean, there's really one obvious guy that you got to go up with right away, and that's Vince Carter. Vince Carter is, my God, he's. I mean, I love watching Vince Carter. You don't even need to know anything about basketball. You know who Vince Carter was.
Right.
Aside from obviously the Lakers teams, all those good teams back in the early 2000s. The one guy who was taking the NBA by storm, but other than those guys, was Vince Carter. So he's been in and around the league. He's been here, there, and everywhere. He's been like probably one of the longest tenured NBA players in history. He's done this, that, and everything else. He's helped teams win. Obviously the dunk contest, wouldn't be what it was without Vince Carter and what he was able to do. I believe he won like 2 or 3 titles in a row as far as dunk contests are concerned, or something like that. I'm not 100% sure on that, but he's definitely made a huge impact in the game. And really, that's the first name that came to mind as like, when you look at seeing who's eligible, you see, oh, Vince Carter, duh. That's the guy that I'm gonna throw my vote on to right away. Just because the impact he had on basically every team he was on, even into his later career, he still, even when he came off the bench, he still had a big impact, played a big role on some of the teams he played on. So Vince Carter is definitely the one guy that comes to my mind. There's some others out there that it's just like, maybe you can throw in. I'm not. Then again, I'm not the biggest basketball historian, so I can't just like give you a list of names that probably should either go in this year or should have already been in. There's some guys that I feel like maybe they should be in there. You can see maybe Joakim Noah. I don't know. He was a big part of that Chicago team. That's kind of hit or miss at times. Tyson Chandler's been a veteran of the league for a while. I I think he was on that Dallas championship team. I'm not that beat Miami, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that he could be another guy that you could say, oh, we could probably throw him in, and maybe nobody would get upset. So, but to me, the unanimous decision for me, of course, is Vince Carter, and that's just me personally. But uh, you could there's a couple guys in here that you could probably say, yeah, we could probably get away with maybe having him on here. But if there's one guy I had to put in there, and if I had one vote and one vote only, I'm putting it on Vince Carter.
Okay.
Well,
What?
Alan, man, I love that because of course there is really one true answer for sure. And you are correct in my opinion. And I want to give you props because just like you said, you're not the basketball guy. You're coming in on short notice. You're taking the fight, and cutting weight, so to speak. In a couple hours. I appreciate that. So I'm just going to throw out a couple things that I picked up on with my research for this particular question. So you mentioned Vince Carter. We know that eight different teams, two-time All NBA, Rookie of the Year, dunk contest, 22 years. Bam, Vince Carter. Go stamp it. You know what I'm saying? That's done. So now we go about some of these other players that I just want to just throw out there. You said Joakim Noah. Joakim Noah does have a Defensive Player of the Year award. Joakim Noah was a part of that Bulls team that Derrick Rose had. Joakim Noah was really good, but somehow, some way, injuries and bad contracts played into his scenarios as an NBA player because he did get picked up by the Knicks, but somehow, some way, I really don't recall him playing for the Knicks. My father would be very upset about that. I promise you. Tyson Chandler, my man, one of the last great big men to be drafted out of high school. Tyson Chandler, 19 seasons in the league, another Defensive Player of the Year, one ring, got that Dirk ring. That's important. Can't forget about that Dirk ring because that Dirk ring was won with people that nobody thought it was going to happen with, and he beat LeBron and the boys. All right, but so we're gonna put all of them in a bag and say that's and maybe and one more I want to throw in there is Amari Stoudemire, another high school, Florida Hall of Fame, basketball Hall of Fame inductee, Amari Stoudemire, matter of fact. But NBA Naismith, it's a possibility because, of course, he had some really big ups and downs when it came to the Suns. He went to the Knicks. He was almost like fourth in the MVP voting for the Knicks, but he got hurt, and then they got Melo, and then it never really panned out after that. So now let's go to the two that I think there's two that you somehow there's a miss and a for sure. And for me, the miss is the Rain Man, Sean Kemp. Like I've not understood as to why as though he's not necessarily in there yet. It's not as though his reign in the league was long, long and forever. But that team in Seattle meant a lot to Seattle. Of course, we no longer have the Seattle SuperSonics. Somewhat of one of the big great duos that went up against Jordan and failed. With him and Gary Payton, Deadlift Shrimp. You know what I'm saying? Several Hershey Hawkins. You know what I'm saying? That was one of those first play defense and then run back so we could shoot teams of the NBA. And of course, they kind of just didn't pan out because they ran into that buzzsaw that was the West, of course, at the time, and then also they ran into Michael Jordan. Um, and somehow, some way, right after the lockout happened, Sean Kemp discovered multiple things outside of basketball that he really liked way more than basketball, and it took him away from the sport at a really bad time when power forwards began to take over the league to a degree because Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, Larry Johnson, guys like that literally sprouted up out of just Chris Webber. They sprouted up out of nowhere, and Sean Kemp was pretty much the original mold for that type of player, but not Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan was just really, you know, normal. But the person that you can put a stamp on right now, no question, and this is going to be my last little minute right here, Chauncey Billups. Let's talk about it right now. Chauncey Billups, right now, got to do it. Give it to him. No questions asked. 17 seasons, so many different teams. Went to the Nuggets twice. Got that ring with Detroit back in '04, and he played some of the toughest teams in the Eastern Conference when the Eastern Conference was, the level of pressure on the West was one thing, but the level of pressure in the East was a totally different monster because you never knew, but everybody in the East had a set of a guard and a center of some sort that could put you on your behind, because that was when basketball was just a little different. So let's talk about that. Chauncey Billups came out there, did his thing. He, on multiple seasons, averaged more than 10 points, more than 7 assists. Also, let's go ahead and say 5-time All Star, 2-time All Defensive Second Team. And let's just say he beat one of the first super teams when it was Shaq and Kobe and Byron Russell and, old Karl Malone. You know what I'm saying? Something that everybody was going, it's impossible to beat this team. They beat the super team with them boys in Detroit. And I'm talking Ben Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Rashid eventually, like it was a hodgepodge group of players, and then somehow, some way, the continuity came, and they just played harder than everybody. They played harder defense than everybody. They played harder offense than everybody, and of course, you got to give respect the name Mr. Big Shot, as he's known by many players. And right now, my man Jay almost cracked a smile because when I said Chauncey Billups, he's thinking about his team because he is now the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers. So I am going to say there's no question, none at all. You got to put Vince Carter, as Alan said, and Chauncey Billups into the Hall of Fame. Everybody else is a toss up, but those two, they got to go. First ballot. Let's do it.
I was going to say, to kind of put it in perspective, you said the East, anybody could have come out of the East in those days. That was also when you had a young LeBron James up and coming in Cleveland as well. And that was another team that was starting to catch fire as well. So the fact that Detroit, that's basically Detroit's last championship too. If you want to go as far as all major sports, that's Detroit's last championship that city has had. Well, I mean, you also got the Red Wings as well, but as far as hockey's kind of forgettable at some cases, but that was the last really impactful championship that Detroit had was that team, because nobody expected them, like you said, Whit, nobody expected them to go into that title series and go beat that Lakers team. Everybody was saying three-peat. That's all you heard back in those days.
Is the big thing. They beat them 4-1. It was, and Ben Wallace, 6'6", Ben Wallace played the heck out of Shaquille O'Neal. And the most dominant player ever was stopped by a man 7'7" smaller than him, but Ben Wallace played like he was 7 foot. So I had a lot of respect for that Detroit team, and then also eventually, Rip Hamilton. You got to talk about Rip Hamilton. Like Chauncey Billups went places and he accentuated everybody's strong points, and I remember not liking him to a degree, but when you start watching the game somewhat, you get to see where he really made an impact, and pretty much everywhere he went, even when he went to the Clippers, Chris Paul got hurt. He stepped in, and this is, I think, his last year, if not his next to last year. He stepped into the Clippers, and they still almost made it to the NBA Finals. So I really got to respect Chauncey Billups' game, how long he's been in there, how many points he's got, All Star, and still the fact that, like, in terms of that clutch, they start everybody's clutch, he's the clutch. Yeah, Chauncey Billups is definitely that when it comes, or that when, and like you mentioned, Allen.
I was gonna say also that was the tail end of Allen Iverson's career in
I
Philly.
was about to say, yeah, I was about to say it was the East was going through a big changing of the guard. Like Chauncey Billups beat Reggie Miller in the Pacers. You know what I'm saying? I want to say Michael Redd? Michael Redd was playing for the Bucks at the time. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
That's
So
that was a big swing because with Michael Redd they actually had the audacity to get rid of Ray Allen for Michael Redd. That was the big thing at that time was Michael Redd, Ray Allen, Michael Redd. You can't keep them together for that long. And then also, just like you were saying, they got rid of Chauncey at one time, basically for Allen Iverson, shipped him out of
mhm.
town, and then what I'm saying, like you said, he had two stints with Denver. Chauncey Billups, man, he's one of those. Not only competitively, it's just the fact that he actually has that ring. Once you get that ring, you're kind of like halfway in the league. It's like halfway in the Hall of Fame, where it's like all you need is like some type of like just you know, not
Something that makes you
exactly.
stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm saying? It could be you could be a rebounding champ. You could have, what I'm saying, got a defensive player of the year three times and just won a ring. And guess what?
I was gonna say
You end up
that's the
going
whole
in
reason Dennis Rodman's in the Hall of Fame. He wasn't much of a scorer, but he could out
exactly,
rebound everybody on the court.
Hey, listen,
exactly.
and
And
you
then and then
and just like you
also
said, that's a huge thing.
Mhm.
But
Tyson Chandler might have that benefit of a doubt. You know what I mean? Because he has his ring. But I would say more to the fact, of course, Vince, man. Vince, it's funny, man. Like Vince probably can get in just off of that dunk contest alone. His shoes and pictures and everything, just off of that one, performance. But I definitely agree with both of y'all. But I'm about to drop the points here. And I was just thinking about that basketball thing, and I was like, Witt gained some ground there. Allen made some points, and I let him steal that point when he came back. I let him steal a point. I didn't let you steal any more points, Witt, because you gained some ground. But
I do want to say this about Tyson Chandler as well. One impact that kind of gets overlooked with his career is
mhm,
that everything that happened with New Orleans. He came into the league when the Hornets had to move from New Orleans to Oklahoma City after Katrina. He was a big part of that team. I got to see them live here. That was a big reason why Seattle got moved to Oklahoma City was because they sent New Orleans up to Oklahoma City to play a year here because of Katrina and that whole impact that he had with that team with him and Chris Paul. Those were the two guys in New Orleans. Those were your two leaders for that Hornets team back in that day. So I think that kind of gets a little undervalued as well, was the leadership him and Chris Paul had during that stint with the whole Katrina bit in New Orleans.
funny
David West.
story. Funny, huh? What you
Now,
say,
I'm
Witt?
in my mind. I was going. Is that was David West was in that New Orleans movie
Yeah,
too, right?
David West was
Yeah.
there. I remember David
Mm-hmm.
West. I think I want to say RJ. I can't remember his name. It was one of the guys that used to play for Cleveland. There was somebody there that used to be in New Orleans. So
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely, man. That was a funny story. I remember when Oklahoma City uh was basically the brand new team, what 2007, and my job, I actually worked for y'all don't know if you're familiar with them, I'm Allen, but I drove for CRST, and went to Oklahoma City a lot. Then 2007, they was like, "Yeah, man, we give you some tickets to the Oklahoma City Thunder." I was like, "Man, they suck. They just got a team."
yeah, we had just gotten Kevin Durant too. So
Oh man, yeah.
Kevin
Listen,
Durant and Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook was a
Kevin,
rookie that first year. So
and the whole thing was the move. If it would have worked, and this is without James Harden, it would have been Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, Jeff Green, Rashard Lewis, and somebody from Brazil that I can't think of right now.
Nick
Was this
Collison. Nick
Nick
Collison.
Collison? Can't forget about that. Yeah, Nick Collison and the other guy from Brazil would have been the starting five for them at the time, man. And so, man, it's crazy when you think about it. But just like you were saying, Jay, even though they were just new to a team, or just getting a team, they kind of started
My
off
bad.
They kind of hit I saw that the Oklahoma City kind of hit the ground running when they moved. Like I told Al, I don't know if you heard me, of course, because they started with Jeff Green, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, Nick Collison, and I swear it was somebody from Brazil was like their center at one point in time, but not Nene. I can't think of who it was.
I think I know who it is. I can't quite remember his name. Oh,
They didn't get what's his
Ibaka,
name
Serge
until
Ibaka, Serge Ibaka.
Serge Ibaka
right.
was in there too. Yeah, Serge Ibaka was in there too. So, but yeah, man, they hit the ground running. So, Jay, you might have missed the opportunity to see greatness, man.
No, I know I did. I know I did. I'm sorry. I messed up y'all score. I was about to type y'all
I was
score
saying,
in.
yeah, that was the time of a very young Kevin Durant. I think he was only in his second year when they
Yeah.
made the move from Seattle to Oklahoma City, and then you
Mhm.
saw rookie Russell Westbrook, who just came off. I want to say he came off the national championship for UCLA the past year, or
I believe so.
either that or they were in the Final Four. So I know that UCLA team was really really good that he came off of. So.
Oh, for sure, for
So
sure.
y'all ready? Y'all ready for the score, man? Going into the bonus round.
All
Uh,
right, hit me. Ooh,
it's tied. All right,
We
ooh.
all
gained a lot
right.
of ground with that basketball. It gained a lot of ground. Those stats help you out a good bit. Those points that you made there, they help you out a good bit. And like I said, you. Thankfully, that one subject because it wasn't looking good before the basketball. And Allen called
Hey,
it, and as soon as I was like, damn, Allen got a point. But but
hey.
this last one is do or die. It's pretty much do or die. And before this tablet tells me basically, hey man, my laptop says, hey, you're done because it pretty much tried to get me out. They got me out of the room 2 times. I'm just gonna go ahead and get to this bonus round, and I want y'all to understand how it's been fun here. So somebody has to win. This is it. 5 points, man. The bonus round. The bonus round. Oh,
You
wait
got
a
his trophy
minute.
ready.
Wait a minute. Oh,
Wow, you
okay.
got trophy ready, man. Oh man.
All right. I see that. Man, all right. So here it is. Bonus round. I want your hottest take ahead of week one. And I'm gonna let who went first? Alan, I let Wick. It's on you, Alan. Hottest take for week one, going into the week one. I'm just here listening. You never know. Like I said, blow me away. Something that makes sense would blow me away. I just want to get the hottest take ahead of week one.
Oh my, I think I know where this is going.
It might not. It might not. It might not be what you think. Monday Night Football is going to be a slaughterhouse in MetLife Stadium Monday night, and the
Ooh,
victim is going to be the Buffalo Bills. The
ooh.
Jets are going to thrash Buffalo on Monday Night Football. There's no the chemistry between Allen and Diggs is still up for question. There's some instances of the defense that kind of concern me a little bit with the Bills. Um, I think the Jets have one of, if not the best defense in the NFL with all the talent that they have. And there's the notion that if Aaron Rodgers is coming into a season pissed off, he's going to ball out week one. Not only is this the best team he's had that he's been on in at least 3 to 4 years, but he's coming off a season where he's basically arguing with all of the Green Bay front office throughout the entire season. Now he gets a fresh start in New York. He's in training camp. He's learning the offense. He's actually participating in team activities. He's getting closer with some of the guys on his team, especially Garrett Wilson, who's going to be his number one receiver. Including some of the guys on his defense. He's becoming the team guy there. And now he's going to show you why he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's going to the Bills are going to be in trouble Monday night. That's my hot take.
Wit.
Well, as you talk about the Bills and you talk about what's going on with the Jets, I'm going to take the other end, man. I'm going to throw out this one, and this is just me spitballing. I think I might have mentioned it before. Jay might have heard me say this one, but I really think that Green Bay's not going to miss Aaron Rodgers. I think right now is one of those times where Green Bay has had a perception of grooming quarterbacks. Okay, Brett Favre out here in the streets, greatest quarterback ever. We love Favre. Don't get rid of Favre. They got rid of Favre. Aaron Rodgers, we hate Aaron. He's from UCLA. We can't stand it. We don't want a California kid. We don't want not Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks to ever throw the ball. We've seen that. Now we get rid of the Aaron Rodgers era. First game going against really tough competition. Possibly going to be seeing this for a really long time. Is this going to be when we finally say, "Hey, look, it's the right time. It was a changing of the guard. Jordan Love steps in, and I personally think that this is what happens. We're going to see him step into his own, and it's not. You can't forget Aaron Rodgers. You cannot. But you're going to have to say, "Hey, look, he had his time. Now it's time to pass it on." Now, the question that they addressed, that Green Bay addressed majorly between the draft and free agency, was their defensive backfield. And we got to see, of course, if Justin Fields is going to be Justin Fields with DJ Moore, and are they going to tear it up? How's that going to work out? Of course, because that's one of the biggest question marks in this season going into week one is what's going to happen with the Bears offense, because they finally gave Justin Fields all of his weaponry. But offensively, for Green Bay, I think it's not going to be too much of a big surprise if we see Jordan Love go out here and do it big on some 300 yards passing, 2, 3 touchdowns, and pull out the victory. You know what I'm saying? Because no longer do we have the Aaron Rodgers era to kind of put the blame on to say, oh, it's Aaron's fault. Nah, I'm a proponent of this. He knows how much responsibility he had a chance to watch it for 2.5 years. He knows exactly what's going on. Somebody that has seen the greatness of Aaron Rodgers every day in and day out, practice, film study, how he treats the coaches, how Aaron Rodgers treated the garbage receptacle cleaning guy from row 17, top tier level. You know what I'm saying? He's seen all of that for 2.5 years. I don't think that he is that slow and or dumb or dense to not go in and say, I'm going to smoke these boys, and I'm gonna make them forget Aaron Rodgers. And hey, Aaron Rodgers did it for Brett. Let's see if Jordan Love could do it for Aaron Rodgers.
All right, all right, all right. So Green Bay, right? They just, of course, man, they lost a lot. I don't think they lost what you think. I think when it comes to Aaron Rodgers taking Randall Cobb and Adam Lazard, I really feel that he just wanted the locker room to be the way he wanted. I think those guys were brought over just simply teach these guys how I play. Pretty much set I hate to say it, minions, use the word minions, but pretty much put my minions in the locker room. They do what I ask as far as what I expect, how I expect to be, to play my teammates as far as the receivers, because, the receiver core. But, when it comes to, man, that craziness of the Jets beating the Bills, man, with
Hey,
man, we
he got his trophy out.
Sorry. I'm not as extravagant as Nick. I'm not going to pull out a belt here, a belt there, and
About to say
like
Nick
a
got
gold
Nick does have belts.
chain and all that good stuff. I just have the trophy. So
Mm-hmm.
I need to catch these belts, man, that I've been hearing about. Man, Yup, we got 19-14. Allen pulling it out. Man, that's a hot take, man. That's the first time. I'm not even gonna lie. That's the first time I've heard somebody say, "Hey, the Jets gonna thrash the Bills, slaughterhouse, week
I'll,
one." The first time I heard it. I ain't gonna lie.
I'll,
So
I'll,
that
I'll
that
give
that
you
kind of
I'll give you the even hotter take. This is for the season, and I've already said this on air in like multiple shows. Bills are missing the playoffs. They're not going to be a playoff team this year.
Wow.
And your Steelers are going to beat them out for that final wild card spot.
I like
And
that
that's
type
the
of. I like that
thing.
type of
When
talk.
I thought you was gonna throw the Steelers in there, man, and say the Steelers
I
was
thought
gonna
that
win
was
the
too
division.
easy.
Like I would have gave you a chance, a slight, just depending how you delivered it. If you said the Steelers was gonna win a division, and you made more of a point that like George Pickens was gonna be a 1,600-yard receiver or something like that, I would have been like, that's on point because I really feel like the Steelers. There's something out there. There's something going on. I don't think
There is.
Tomlin got these young boys, and then the defensive additions that he pretty much took all the ball hawks. And Allen to tell you, Allen knows where I'm going with this. He
Oh yeah.
took those ball hawks from the Cowboys that Dan Quinn depended on as veteran help. They're on the
Mm-hmm.
Steelers defense now.
KZ, yep.
KZ and Neal.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Hey,
think I think with Mika and everything they got out there, I just really feel like this is gonna be the resurgence of Blitzburg of really hardcore Steelers defense, man. I really feel that. But
And
with
I'll
you
say
know,
this about I'll say this about them too. I think they're going to move. Eventually, they're going to move Patrick Peterson to free safety right next to Mika in that secondary, and they're going to put Joey Porter there on the corner.
with
that's already that's already happening. That's already happening. I see that too. See,
with
I thought me talking about my team was a softball. I could have knocked it out of the park. I tried to go different. Try to go left. You know what I'm saying?
that's
Try to go
one
left.
time.
I was
That's
already like everybody talks about the Jets every 20 seconds, but he said week one they're gonna blow out the Buffalo. So I was like, dang, all right, well, I thought he was gonna say something about the Jets, but I really do think this season, like you mentioned, they took Cobb, you know what I'm saying, and they basically got his two security blankets from Green Bay, but they really didn't leave the cupboard bare for Jordan Love. Dang near 60 something percent of the offense that he's really been studying, that he's been practicing, is still there. And I think somewhere in this season, it doesn't have I'm thinking still for Green Bay 50%, 50-50. But right now, I'm just saying that first week, like I want to see what Jordan Love does. And if it looks good, watch how the naysayers come out. But if it looks bad, I think he's going to figure out a way to be better. If it looks bad, I think he's going to figure out a way to be better. But if it looks good, watch how they're going to talk. Oh, he's using his legs. He's not throwing the receivers. Look at the over receiver over there. He threw to this guy. Watch, but that's just because they miss Aaron. So, but hey,
all right.
man, great take,
With
Alan. I love it. I appreciate it.
all
Yeah.
right, Allen.
And even with that, I think with Aaron going to New York, I think Matt LaFleur is going to have a lot more control over the offense, and that's going to help Jordan Love out a lot too. So I like that take a lot.
So with you winning, we always give the winner the floor to talk about whatever they want to express, to say what they're doing, what they're doing right now, or whatever's on your mind, man. You have the floor.
Well, I know I've been making a lot of hot takes here the last couple days. I made one earlier on our NFC East Roundtable show where I said the Cowboys are going to squash the Giants on Sunday night and expose Daniel Jones as a fraud. So that's another big one. Dark, I'm going to give you kind of another hot take that I don't think anybody's going to like whatsoever. But I know this is mostly the homer and me saying this. Your dark horse MVP candidate is going to be Rain Dakota Prescott. Because I think that chip on his shoulder for what Jerry's trying to do to him by bringing in Trey Lance behind his back Well, I said this to Jay earlier. One of two things are going to happen: either Dak's going to fall apart, or he's going to revert back to 2016 Dak Prescott.
Okay,
I
for the
like it.
first time in Hear Me Out history, we are going to change the winner. We are going to change the winner. So, with great point, dude. Hey, nah, no,
Hey,
no.
first of all, I just want to know. I just want you to know that this is the first time I've ever heard somebody say Rain Dakota. So I'm with it. I let him win just for saying Ray, calling his real
Yeah,
name, man.
that is his full legal name is Rain Dakota Prescott.
I love it, man. I love it. And for real though, and just to throw it out there for you, Dak Prescott has never been under this much pressure, and this is for me, in my opinion, this is a make or break season because
Mm-hmm.
if he doesn't produce, if he gets anywhere near 10, 11 interceptions, that's when the whispers start. Trey Lance's first full off season with the Dallas Cowboys. What's going to happen? Is it going to be the number 2? Cooper Rush getting traded. You know what I'm saying? Like, watch. And but I like that take, bro.
I was gonna say
as somebody that likes
Rush is only on a 1-year deal, so he's likely going to be gone after this year.
Yeah, watch and watch. They'll slightly slide him out the door. He'll end up in Seattle or Denver or something like that. You know what I mean? And it'll be just Dak and Trey.
I'm surprised he didn't
versus
go
Big
to
Brother.
LA this offseason, go follow Kellen Moore.
Oh yeah, true. Well, hey, Kellen Moore is on the way to becoming a head coach. He's going to be the new Sean McVay.
He'll
Going
be
to
he'll be a head coach by week 5 because for some reason Brandon Staley's going to screw it up in LA for the first 4 weeks.
Hey man, somebody's got to pay him that money because Kellen Moore is not that bad.
Look, yo, this has been fun.
Tanner's gonna watch this back and he's gonna message me like, "What the hell are you thinking?"
Yeah, so many times. Whit already knows that has happened. Tanner would have ate him alive just for him. Him in these bonus rounds, man. Him in these bonus
Right.
rounds. But once again, Alan, man, love to have you again, man. Appreciate you, man. Just coming through. You know what I mean? And you know, we're gonna definitely be getting Johnny on, man. And I'm probably gonna be the one going against Johnny, man. And then we're gonna get like a little circuit going on. We're actually gonna keep up with wins here. So you got your first win here, and then I have what? How many wins I got with? Like 5. All right, so just throwing that out there, man. But really appreciate you, Alan, man. Hey, man, everybody, man, you're doing this next week on Tuesday. Tuesday, right? Yeah, Tuesday. Man, catch us around 9 on Tuesdays, 9 Eastern. That is. Hear me out, man. Your boy Alan with us today, and we got Whit. Sorry, Whit, another loss, man.
Hey,
I might suit up next week, you know what I mean, and go ahead and handle business for Rec Room Sports, man. You never know. You never know, man. I might have to go ahead and suit up. That's all it is, man. Come on, we'll see. But man, appreciate everybody, man. Next week, see ya.